Coming up, Mary Jo continues her drive through the coastal communities of Southern California. From points across California, hey, wow, amazing how that happens. You're listening to the Disneyland edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged Disneyland edition, episode 552 for the week of February 21st, 2016. The Diz Unplugged Disneyland edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, helping you plan the perfect Disneyland vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello everyone and welcome to the show. I am your host Tom Bell and I'm joined by my good friends Nancy Johnson.
Hey!
Mary Jo Mulatto Willie.
Hello.
And Michael Bowling.
Cowabunga, dude.
Nice.
Hi. That's awesome. And I know that you had your pinking your thumb out when you said that, right?
That's right.
Waving your hand.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we are continuing our Day 6 series. So this is, once you spent 5 days in the park, what do you do on Day 6? Mary Jo's going to tell you. Where did we leave off last time? We were still at the beach.
Yeah, last time we've been making our way down through the beaches. We've been all on the west beaches and the south beaches. So in this segment, I'm going to continue meander down the coast, down the south-facing beaches. And we've had some long beaches along our southern coast, and we've already visited Long Beach, Seal Beach, Bolsa Chica, and last time was Huntington Beach.
There you go. Okay.
That's what we were talking about. And Huntington Beach, remember, that is the home of Surf City, USA. So, and often on the disc boards, people ask us about the closest beach to visit. And if you're already at the Disneyland Resort, so usually the answer is either Huntington Beach or Newport Beach. They're often mentioned. So last we left off, like I said, we checked out Huntington Beach with its dog beach, bike trails, and fire pits. And then the other relatively nearby beach that I'll be talking about today is Newport Beach. I'm also going to mention or talk a little bit about Laguna Beach, which is farther south and well worth a visit, as well as talk about Crystal Cove State Park, which is in between Newport Beach and Laguna Beach. So Newport Beach is what I consider to be a gentler beach compared to Huntington Beach. And that's because the ocean floor drops off more sharply at Huntington Beach, which causes the waves to come crashing on the shore. And okay, so I'm going to digress a little bit. I'm going to tell you about this. It's a slightly embarrassing story. But what the heck? What's a little embarrassment between us few friends, right?
Nobody's listening. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just us. So when my kids, Nick and Kelly, were a lot younger, they had boogie boards. And the boogie boards are those styrofoam type boards that you can ride the waves on. And they're, I don't know, like 4 feet long or 3 feet long. So we would take them to the beach for some light surf gliding. Well, on this particular day, I couldn't get parking at Newport Beach, so I said, okay, well, let's go to Huntington Beach. And we walked down. So we went to Huntington Beach. So I thought, well, shoot, I want to go boogie boarding too. So I walked down to the water with the boogie board in front of me, and I didn't carry it on my side like normal people would do. Instead, I carried it straight in front of me like a shield. Who knows why I carried it like that? So remember how I said that the waves come crashing down? Yeah, I walked into the surf and a wave crashed down on me, hitting that boogie board and causing me to do somersaults in the sand over and over again.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm no gymnast and I never was. So let me just say that those somersaults were not graceful. And when I finally came up for air, I had sand everywhere, every crook and crevice. And it was just, I was washing sand out for days.
Did you stick your landing?
Say that again?
Did you stick your landing?
Did I stick my landing? Yeah, it was crazy. I was, I might have been, the side, I could, as I was walking, coughing water out, I just had this vision of the lifeguards watching me and just saying, check that lady going out into the beach, So I'm so glad that YouTube was not the thing back then, because it was really not pretty. But anyway, I digress. So while the Huntington Beach waves come crashing down more and they're excellent for surfers, Newport Beach has the ocean floor that gradually gets deeper. And so while they do have waves, they're more mild than the ones at Huntington Beach. And at least that's my experience. And especially if you go to the beach near the pier. So Newport Beach is less than 20 miles from the Disneyland Resort. And in decent traffic, you're looking at probably a half-hour drive. It's almost all freeway. And then you end up on the 55 freeway and you just drive straight. It empties out into Newport Boulevard, and it takes you straight to the pier. So let me tell you a little bit about Newport Beach. The areas of Newport Beach include Corona del Mar, Balboa Island, Balboa Peninsula, which I call the Newport Peninsula, the Lido Peninsula, Newport Coast, San Joaquin Hills, and the Santa Ana Heights, and West Newport. So there's a lot going on in that area. The beach has several areas that are fun to explore. You have the pier, the beach area, the back bay, fun zone, Cannery Village, and Balboa Islands, which are just a few of them, as well as the shopping area called Fashion Island. Have you guys heard of Fashion Island?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's very well known. Newport Beach is also home to the Ensenada Yacht Race, Newport Beach Film Festival, Restaurant Week, Newport Beach Independence Day on the Bay, Hyatt Regency Summer Concert Series, and the Newport Beach Christmas Boat Parade. We have a lot of boat parades. I talked to you about the Long Beach one, and the Newport Beach might be even more popular than the one that's held in Long Beach. A lot of boats participate in it. So a little bit of the history about Newport Beach. There was a settlement around where the pier is now, and at one time it was the largest shipping business of Orange County. And then when they built the San Pedro Harbor and they dug that out, it opened in 1899, the commercial shipping business moved from Newport Beach to San Pedro. And so then the area, they decided to develop it into more of a tourist and recreational boating community, hence all the yacht clubs and the marinas that they have there. Newport Beach itself was incorporated as a city in 1906, so it's been around for a while. And there's lots of things to do there. I mentioned already the Fashion Island shopping area that's filled with boutiques. They have department stores, jewelry stores, restaurants, and there's a 5-star island hotel that has a great spa and restaurant and a tropical pool area if you want to get away from the beach. And then I mentioned the Back Bay. The Back Bay is inland, and it's a huge estuary. It's the Upper Newport Bay Nature Preserve and Ecological Reserve. It's 1,000 acres of coastal wetlands, which also offers trails for hiking or biking. And the difference between this one and the other ones that I've talked about in some of the other beaches like Seal Beach and Huntington Beach, the estuaries in those beaches, the rivers that fed into them were siphoned off. And so they don't get very much fresh water, which has altered the waterfowl that go to those and the other animals that go to those areas. Whereas the Upper Newport Bay area does have a little small river feeding into it. And so you get different types of animals, and it's a lot bigger than the other places. It's a lot more greener, I think, than the other ones. There's also kayaking, paddleboarding. And for those of you who don't want to brave the ocean past the shore with your kayaking out with the waves, you can enjoy the water sports here in a more protected environment, even though they have all these animals that they do. They preserve the area for them. They still allow people to enjoy it recreationally. At the entrance to the Back Bay are the Newport Dunes. And when I was young and I was in Girl Scouts, we actually camped there, which was fun camping on the beach, except you ate sand in your hamburgers and stuff like that. So that was my experience on camping there. But it was a lot of fun. But I've gone there exploring, looking for our old campgrounds, but they've turned it into an RV park. And it's kind of an upper scale RV park. So if you want to visit the Disneyland Resort, you don't mind driving a half hour off freeway, which makes it an easy drive. You can stay here in a beach environment, and this would be a really wonderful spot since there's so many things to do there. They have a private beach for the RV park. They have a water park to go swimming there in a protected environment. And you can rent pedal boats, sailboats, kayaks, and other types of watercraft while you're there. So it's definitely worth checking out. And people are always asking, well, what are the camping areas near the Disneyland park? And we always talk about the ones that are just a mile or two away. But this is another alternative. And plus, if you really want to get the LA experience, you're never close to where you want to go, and you always do a lot of driving. So that's just another option that you could think of. that you can do. So a little bit about the beach. If your main goal is to go to the beach and relax, the beach next to the pier is really nice for that. In fact, I was there last Friday, I think, and I periscoped the sunset. Yes, take a drink, folks. I periscoped the sunset from over there, and it was so beautiful. I had to snap a picture. There were this young couple just laying on the beach, intertwined. It was G-rated, but they were intertwined in there. And I'm sitting there, and I was cold, and she had shorts, and he had shorts, and I was like, I told them, I go, you guys must be keeping each other warm because it's cold over here, and they just laughed at me. But the beach itself is really beautiful. The pier has a building at the end that used to be a restaurant, but it's closed. But you can still go out there, get a nice view. A lot of homes are along there, and it's really pretty. And they also have some nice restaurants there along the beach. And if you just want to snack on something, they also have those types of places to go. Beachgoers have flocked to the Newport Beach since the Pacific Electric Railway started bringing them in 1905. Remember how I told you that it used to bring you from downtown LA? Well, it reached all the way to Newport Beach also. And they have a boardwalk there that's actually a concrete path, and it runs 2.9 miles, almost 3 miles along there. And it goes past the Newport Pier, Balboa Pier to between to the end of the peninsula. And the cool thing is when we went out there on bike riding and we went to the end of the peninsula, that's where the 3-hour tour for Gilligan's Island came out of. Oh. So that's a nice little, exactly, that was it. So now other things in Newport Beach, they have what they call Cannery Village, which is actually on one of the peninsulas. That's the Lido Peninsula. Actually, it looks like a little island. You get there crossing a little bridge. And when you go there, this area used to be the area where the fishermen would come and bring in their fish and sell them off to the different restaurants and stuff like that. But now they've turned it into, it's very upscale. A lot of homes, every home on this island has a view of the water, is on the water. So a lot of people have their boats or yachts. Instead of garages, they have, their little piers where they put their yachts and stuff. And one of the cool things there is they have some restaurants that also have a view of the ocean, or it's really a view of the water and the beaches over there, where you can eat at with really good fresh seafood. And people have their boats and they pull them up and they park them at the restaurant and they go in to go eat. So if you want to see that kind of a lifestyle, and it's not park their boats, it's more where they moor their boats and have a stop to bite at the restaurants. So that's a fun place to visit also. It's also the location for the Newport Beach Film Festival, which is held the last week of April. So that's coming up if that's something that you're into, that you could experience at Newport Beach. Now, another island that they have there, which is a larger island, and actually a friend of mine grew up on that island, it's Balboa Island. It's a man-made island, and it's fun to visit, whether you drive, walk, bike, or take the ferry. And I'll tell you about that in a second. It has Marine Avenue, which has a bunch of little coastal shops featuring nautical designs, a lot of boutiques, beach fashions, art, and jewelry. It's really nice to go over there and stroll in this beach community. It's also home to some Balboa Island quaint restaurants and bistros, which have all kinds of different food. In addition to seafood, they have Italian, Mexican, because there's Mexican everywhere here, and the French Swiss culinary foods, so to try out. They also have 2 famous desserts, and I was interested to find, I have to go, this is another one to go check out. They have what they call the Balboa Bar and the frozen banana, and apparently they claim the frozen banana. So these sweets have been around for over 75 years, and they say that they've been imitated and replicated, including Arrested Development made them. So if any of you are Arrested Development fans and have seen them make either the Balboa Bar or the frozen banana, they're dipped in chocolate and they're covered with a variety of coatings from nuts, sprinkles, cookie crumbs, etc. So I didn't know that, but that's something to check out, right? So the island has many homes there, and they have no yards. They're just their houses. So you can go up there and check them out. They're a lot of fun to go and visit. each year, summer is kicked off on the island with the Balboa Island Art Walk, where local artists showcase their works. This year, the Art Walk will be on Sunday, the 22nd of May from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission is free, and it's a fine art show with 90 artists exhibiting paintings, fine jewelry, blown glass, sculpture, and photography. Spectators will also enjoy live music throughout the day, and the musicians this year are going to be the Retros, the Don Ross Duo, Rick Sherman, Allington Remington, and Jim Roberts. So they have a lot of fun things to do over there. The OC Cruiser will be providing free shuttle service because it is an island and it's not huge. Parking is challenging there, so it's better to park on the Newport side and take the shuttle into the island itself. Now, over in Newport Beach, they also have what they call the Fun Zone, and the Fun Zone has been around for 80 years or so, and it's like one of the Paradise Pier at California Adventure. It's that type of atmosphere. And over there they have a huge Ferris wheel, which is kind of fun to ride, and you can get views of the ocean. They also have arcade games and other games there. Or you can rent paddle boats, right? Or other types of watercraft that you take out to the ocean. They also have semi-submarine tours that let you see our ocean floor and the kind of animals that inhabit the waters here in Southern California. For those who'd like to experience sports fishing off of our coast, this is a great place to come and get on one of those boats. Because who's going to go to Disneyland and take your fishing pole? Pretty much nobody, right? Unless you have an RV. So they do have the equipment there that you can use when you go deep sea fishing. They also have some sea-doo boats, which we would think of as jet ski boats. They have paddle boards that are really popular here. Paddle boards, if you guys don't know what they are, they're like big surfboards that you stand on and you use an oar to paddle. I would fall in the water because I'm uncoordinated, but if you would like to try something like this, they do teach you how to ride the watercraft. They will provide life jackets and wetsuits. And for the sea-doo boats that you go on, they have tours where they'll take you. So kind of think of like a Segway tour, but this is going to be on jet skis, where they're going to tell you a little bit about Newport Beach and the history and stuff. Or you could take off by yourself. And if you do want to do that, it's $135 an hour to rent them, if anybody was wondering. And since Newport Beach has rules against causing waves among the islands and for the beachgoers, you have to take the watercraft out into the ocean. And they say it takes about 15 minutes to get in the ocean in 15 minutes. So a half hour is just going to the ocean and coming back, and then a half hour out on the ocean if that's all you want to spend on these. But 2 people can ride on each one, and people can switch off, and they will teach you how to ride them also. So I think that was pretty cool. They're also a great way to experience the Pacific on a personal level. And if, they have buoys out there with sea lions hanging on them. If you want to get up and close to the sea lions, but not too close, you could ride them. And sometimes dolphins come up to you also, which is kind of cool. So I go there with my cousins because they love Newport Beach. And so one of the things that we like to do besides sunbathing and the kids playing in the water is we like to rent the bicycles there. I know that they rent bicycles in Huntington Beach. Newport Beach is a little bit different. Huntington Beach is going to be all ocean with the Pacific, with PCH on one side and the ocean on the other, the beach. When you're in Newport Beach and you rent the bicycles, you're going to be going past homes. Also, there's a lot of vacation rentals that are pretty cool to see. So it's going to be, to me, a little bit more scenic to ride them. So what we do is we typically ride our bicycles towards the fun zone, and that's where you get the ferry to go to Balboa Island. So when we were there, it cost $1. So for $1, you can get on the ferry. Fun experience, especially for kids who've never been on a ferry. The cars drive on the boat and it takes you across to the island and back. And go ride your bikes over there in Balboa Island and grab an ice cream or something. Check out the houses. Say hey to the people and see if you can go. No, you don't ask me if you can go inside. But it's kind of neat to see how the people live there, and it's a good way to spend an afternoon, especially if you've already been to the beach and you want to do something different. It's a lot of fun to do. Keep in mind that when you do go to Newport Beach, parking may be a bit of a challenge, especially on holidays like Independence Day or Labor Day. Otherwise, get there early so that you can get your parking. When I've gone, I've usually parked in some private parking lot that fits like 6 cars or so and pay $10 and then walk to the beach. So bring cash, keep it in mind. In contrast, Huntington Beach has a huge parking lot that goes the length of the beach practically, and they have the fire pits there. So you need to weigh the two. They're pretty close. And let me say, it's kind of equidistance to go to Huntington Beach or Newport Beach from the Disneyland resort. So you're either going to go to the beach that has the fire pits, and it's pretty much just beach and water with the waves crashing down, or you're going to go to a place that's a little bit more populated if you want to go to where there's a beach community. Both places lets you rent boogie boards. Both places you could rent bicycles. There's no shortage of those types of amenities at both places. So it's, I think, more of the type of atmosphere that you're looking. Or one day go to Huntington Beach, and the next time you come visit, go to Newport Beach and try those out. So I really, I prefer Newport Beach to Huntington Beach just because of the waves that come in. Both of them give you a great experience, though. And when you go down the coast from Newport Beach, you're going to come across. So when I say go down the coast, what I'm saying now is you're going to ride down Pacific Coast Highway, or we call it PCH or Highway 1. If you hear Pacific Coast Highway, PCH or Highway 1, it's all the same road that goes the length of California. So you get to Crystal Cove State Park, which is a park that's way high up on the cliffs that overlook the Pacific Ocean. And there's trails there. It's kind of rustic. A lot of picnic areas if you want to go there and kind of get away from the hustle and bustle of the city. And there's also trails to explore inland. They have parking on both the ocean side of Pacific Coast Highway at Reef Point and Pelican Point, as well as inland at El Morro Day used parking area by the ranger station. So the backcountry that they have there, which people don't really realize, it's almost 2,500 acres, with primitive campgrounds for those who are inspired by when you go to Frontierland and you want to forge out and brave the wild. You can do that. You can go on PCH and hike into the backcountry and, rough it over there. Especially since part of Frontierland is closed off since we can't walk on that trail, Big Thunder Mountain Trail right now. But the views from there is really, really nice. And like I said, you're in the middle of, if you feel like you're in the middle of the wilderness, but really city is surrounding you. Now, if you go to the beach is 3.5 miles of coastline. And that's where the historic district of the Crystal Cove Cottages is. And I don't know if I've talked about it in the past, but there are 46 rustic cottages that were built in the 1920s and 30s at the mouth of it's called the Los Troncos Creek or Los Troncos Creek. It's a little creek that empties out in the ocean. And these cottages were built by squatters when the land was owned by the Irvine Company. And in those days, there was really nothing. There was PCH and nothing else around. So there was no problem with these people who wanted to live at the beach. And so they lived there for many years, and they were given notice that they would be evicted. And in 1999, that's what happened, despite huge protests. But they were given like 10 years or 20 years advance notice that they would have to get out of these homes by 1999. So some of the cottages, the Irvine Company donated that land to the state, so it became a state park. And that's why the people were told they had to leave, because it was now a state park. So they up and left the cottages, and they've been sitting there, and they are in a prime spot. They're right along the beach. So some of them have been renovated. And if you're extremely lucky, you can rent them just like any of the state parks or federal parks where you call 6 months in advance. You do the same thing here. I was able to do it in 2006 when they first became available. And even though I've tried several times, I still haven't been able to do so. But go for it. Try it out. It's a great place. It's fun to stay. It's a fun place to go. But even if you don't get a cottage, it's a great place to come spend the day if you want a more natural environment to enjoy our coastline. So the other beaches that I've been talking about, Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, Long Beach, Santa Monica, all of those beaches on the west also, those beaches get raked. There's a truck that goes through and they take out all the divots of all the footprints and everything, and they, pick up the trash and everything off those beaches. But this beach, in contrast, is not touched. So it's more like how California beaches were back before we started raking them and making them more urbanized. So if you want to see how California was in the past, this is a great place to go. When I spent the weekend there in the cottage, it was $150 a night. So it was a great bargain. And because it's a state park, they do try to keep the cost down so that people can stay there on the beach, and not get, and have it be a little bit as affordable as they can do it. We actually got to stay in the nearest cottage to the one that was used in the movie Beaches. So any of you who saw Beaches with Barbara Hershey and Bette Midler, that green beach house, we were probably like 4 houses away from it. And at that time, 10 of the cottages had been renovated, and now they're up to 21. So almost half of the cottages have been renovated. The only thing is there's no stove or oven. You cannot cook. They have a microwave. You cannot cook in the cottages. You have to cook outside. They have a grill. They don't want to chance any fires inside or anything like that. But they do have indoor restrooms, just letting you know. Besides the beautiful beach there's a Beachcombers Cafe, which is also a converted cottage. And I would rate it a high 3, maybe. They've got seafood, hamburgers, other food right there, and it sits right on the beach. They do play Reveille at sunset. And I'll tell you a little story about that. When we were staying there, we were at the Beachcombers Cafe, and I'm really patriotic. So at sunset, they started playing Reveille, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I ran outside so I could watch them bring the flag down. You guys, you know how I always go to flag retreat at Disneyland, right? So I rush out there to be there while they're bringing the flag down, and I'm all proud, getting ready to shed a tear. And the flag was not being brought down. It was being raised up, and it was a martini flag because it was martini time. So it was happy hour time, and they play Reveille to let you know that it's time to party. So that's how they are down there at Crystal Cove Cottages. I do recommend this restaurant. It may be a bit of a wait because people will go there from the nearby Marriott and other hotels just because it's so beautiful to be sitting there on the beach at the sunset with cliffs behind you. One of the reasons that I think it's a little bit more rustic is because parking is on the other side of PCH, on the non-ocean side. And to get to the beach area, you either have to hike about a quarter of a mile, which is about like Mickey and Friends parking structure to the Disneyland entrance. Or you could take a little shuttle that they have that costs $1 or $2 a person. Personally, I think it's worth it. If you visited our beaches, you want something different, I highly recommend going here. Excuse me, it's probably maybe about 45 minutes from Disneyland to get there. But if you spend the day and you have dinner there, I think you'll enjoy the experience. So let's now go a little bit farther down the coast, and then we're going to come to a jewel of a town. And I mean jewel of a town. It's called Laguna Beach. Now, Laguna Beach is only about 25 miles or 40 minutes from Disneyland if you go directly there. But if you want to drive down to Newport Beach, then go along PCH, past Crystal Cove, and then go to Laguna Beach, it's a little over 30 miles and about an hour drive. I think it's worth it, especially if you go down there to see the sunset and then go back to the park. And then some fun facts. Did you know that Laguna Beach has many interesting features besides its art galleries, restaurants, and scenic parks? Harrison Ford used to perform at the Laguna Playhouse in 1965 before he became Han Solo in Indiana Jones. The oldest human remains in the Western Hemisphere, 17,000 years old, were found in Laguna Beach in 1933, which I didn't know. I'd like to see where those remains are. The first living picture show, which is now called the Pageant of the Masters, was held in 1932, the week after the Olympic Games ended in Los Angeles. And what Pageant of the Masters are people dressed up like famous paintings. And so you sit there in the audience, and then they do like a tableau of whatever the theme is that year, different paintings. And they always end with the Last Supper. So I haven't been to that yet. And every year I say I'm going to go, but I think this year I really am going to go. And they have it from June through September. It's another thing. If you're going to come, if you want to see something, California culture, you're here at Disneyland, you have that extra day and you want to see what it's like. I really do recommend going to Laguna Beach and checking Pageant of the Masters. This area is also, it's a haven for artists. Each summer, they host local and non-local artists during their Sawdust Art Festival. And I've talked about that before, and I did a blog on it. They have it each summer and winter. And when I went with my friends, we got there at 8 o'clock in the morning. We had breakfast at a restaurant called Greeter's Corner, which it's called Greeter's Corner because there used to be a man that stood on the corner and he greeted people. He would wave to people as they drove by on PCH. And the mayor did an homage to him when he passed away, and they built a statue. Actually, I think they have footprints on the corner where he used to stand to greet the cars, and then there's a statue of him at the entrance to this restaurant, and it's called Greeter's Corner. Has a great view of the ocean and has pretty decent food there. It's more like a cafe, I think, it's more like a diner type place, but they have good food, but you can't beat the view of the ocean. You're up on the cliffs overlooking the beach down below and the ocean, and then on the other side is this quaint town. So we started there with breakfast. We went to the Sawdust Festival, and then we went to downtown, which is really, again, it's quaint. It's little boutique shops and just so pretty over there that for a day where you almost feel like you're in a different country almost, I would recommend going and doing something like that at Laguna Beach. Laguna Beach does have some of the most beautiful beaches in Southern California, in my opinion. There's a total of 8 miles, but they're broken up into one main beach and then 20 different coves. So unlike Huntington Beach, where you can walk the entire beach, you can't do that here. You can go to these little coves or to the main beach to experience what they have there. Some of the coves are accessible via stairs. And so you might find that there's not so many people there because a lot of people don't want to walk down from the cliffs on these stairs. They even have a smaller beach there called the Liso Beach, which does have the rings for bonfires. Laguna Beach has everything from diving, surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, snorkeling, skimboarding, etc. You can take a kayak tour and check out Seal Rock. You can go on a hike, discover all the beauty in the Laguna Coast Wilderness Park, or take a bike tour and ride through the charming neighborhoods that they have in North Laguna. These houses are not cookie cutter houses. They have a lot of charm to them. There's spectacular views. There's all these little restaurants, unique shops. They have relaxing day spas and a lot of small galleries that you can go and just meander through. If you want to people watch, you can try Main Beach that I had mentioned. You can also watch volleyball players, or you could join in a game yourself if you want to. One of the cool things there is if you require a beach wheelchair, you just go to the lifeguard headquarters and they'll get one for you there at Main Beach. The beaches are open from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. and the Liso County Beach with the fire rings is open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Dogs are allowed on the city beaches before 9 a.m. and after 6 p.m. between June 15th through September 10th, and during regular beach hours from September 11th through June 14th, so when it's not during the summer. The dogs must be on a leash that's 6 feet or shorter at all times. There is a dog park located in Laguna Canyon where the dogs can run off leash, which is open Thursday through Tuesday. Laguna Beach is also home to a lot of tide pools. And if you don't know what those are, they're those rocky areas that during low tide leave pools of water where you can see sea anemone, urchin, starfish, sea slugs, fish, crabs, and even an occasional octopus. Those are the animals I personally have seen when I've gone to the tide pools. Another feature here in Southern California that we have that I think it would be fun, especially if you have kids or if you like nature, that you can go see. And if you're looking for some shopping, Laguna Beach has some darling, yes, I said darling downtown area with quaint shops as well as local restaurants. And if you're looking for something out of the ordinary, like this isn't enough, there's a cool game that they have in Laguna Beach called Cluehoo, Cluehoo, where you can choose one of 3 interactive scavenger hunts that last from 2.5 to 3 hours, and you don't go more than a couple of miles at the most. There's 3 areas in Laguna Beach for 3 different adventures, less than $30 a person for the adults, and it's even less for children for teams of 2 to 5. And so they provide you with these gadgets to play. If you have to go to a museum, they provide you with the admission fees and stuff to play this game. And you learn a little bit about Laguna Beach. So I like doing stuff like this. So this is something that I definitely would like to do. And so for those of you who have been to California more than one time, a few times, this might be fun for you to do, especially if you want to get out and do things. They also have a walking food tour called Savor Laguna. The guides behind Savor Laguna will take you to their best restaurants, art galleries, and shops. And this is about a 3.5-hour walking tour. They take you to several stops along the way. You have about 5 or 6 tasting stops, as well as checking out the local art galleries and shops. The guides also talk about Laguna Beach's culture and history, which makes their tours really good for those of us who live here and also for tourists. Another cool thing at Laguna Beach, which was actually pointed out to me by one of our listeners and friends, that's Rob Kletke. They have a beach there called Victoria Beach in Laguna Beach, and they have what they call, it's a pirate tower. So it's this big, tall tower that goes from the beach up the cliff with a turret at the top. Not a turret, it's like a cone, so it peaks. And it's 60 feet tall. And it was built to house a staircase for the person living in the home above the cliff. So it was State Senator William E. Brown and family that used to go there. And to get down to the beach, they would go down these steps in this tower. It was built in 1926 and it still stands today. So it's a really cool photo op as well as a fun place to explore. Probably the reason they call it a pirate tower is because the guy who bought it from the senator, he liked pirates a lot. So he used to get dressed up as a pirate. And he would hide coins in the tower for kids to find, for the local kids to find, and he would tell them pirate stories. So there was this huge sense of adventure in going over there. One of the most recent owners was Bette Midler, who had it. So I wonder if she ever used those tower steps to get down to the beach. Though the only time they could use it is during low tide. Otherwise, the base of the tower is flooded and the doors blocked by water. So that wouldn't be good if you went down and didn't pay attention and then high tide started coming up and you couldn't get back to the stairs to get up to your home. The beach itself is super secluded, very peaceful, but it's open to the public. And so you can go down there, explore, and then check out that tower. Laguna Beach has several parking lots with trolleys that take you to the main areas. I do recommend doing this, especially the first time you visit. If you want to go from Newport Beach to Laguna Beach, it's 11 miles and it takes just under a half hour to get there. So you have plenty of time to visit Newport Beach, Crystal Cove, Laguna Beach, just to go explore and get a feel for our Southern California beaches. And then on another day, spend a half day there and enjoy the beach and then go back to Disneyland in the evening. It makes for a nice alternative to check out some of the local stuff that we have here in Southern California. So have any of you guys ever been to any of these beaches?
I haven't.
Okay, your assignment. Your assignment. I know that Rob is going to check out the Pirates Tower because we were talking about it. But they're just beautiful. Even if you're at Disneyland and you want to see a spectacular sunset, take the half hour or so and drive down to the beach and just soak it in. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
Awesome. Where are we heading next?
My last one will probably be Dana Point There's a lot going on over there and some of those beaches. And then I'll talk about the children's pool, which is in La Jolla. I went there last month, I believe, and you could see a bunch of seals. And that'll be the end of my southern beaches.
Beaches.
Yeah,
Then we'll have
beaches.
to do something else.
Yeah. Oh, there's lots to do.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Mary Jo. That is going to do it for this segment of the Dis Unplugged. Be sure to catch all of our other Dis Unplugged podcasts this week. And, of course, we will be back again with you next week. Until then, remember, Disneyland is always more magical when it's shared. Thanks for listening.